For round 3, I think the rebels are just going to go along and skip this probe droid and... No, just kidding. I can't resist. I need to. It only needs 2 points. Let's go after it. So also later in the scenario, we have to go back. The rebels, once they've picked up their, the explosive, have to go back. And if the more enemies there are, it's going to kind of clog up, especially this area. But also, it's just going to keep hitting. Let's just get rid of it. So anyway, we're going to have Diala go first. She's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. This is right here. So 4. It needs 2 damage. She has reach, and she does have line of sight to that square. So she gets, let's see. She's going to use her precise strike. So use 2 strain. She could try to gamble and not do that, but that's not a good gamble, I don't think. So green and yellow, and because of the precise strike, they don't get to roll defense die. So here we go. That's 2 damage plus a surge. With the surge, we're going to get rid of a strain. So that was good, and that gets rid of the probe droid. It had 3 damage on it, so that gets rid of this. So then, is that the end of her turn, or is she going to move? She's not going to do any strain to move. She only has 4 movement points. She used those, so she said, okay, so no enemies, no Imperials on the board. So what are we going to do? We need somebody to open this door. That's going to take an action. Ideally, we'd like to get somebody moving up here maybe and then open the door, but Fen can't make it. Fen's wounded and only has movement 3. 1, 2, 3. Can't strain 2 because he's already 2 out of his 3 endurance, so can't do that. Diala's already gone. We could have Shyla go, so 1, 2, and then open the door and then just do some more movement. I don't know, I don't see really a benefit of that compared to Onar. So let's have Onar do it. So Onar is going to spend his first activity of his activation opening the door. So the door opens. In this scenario, you don't need to do any rolls or anything like that. So now what happens when the door opens is there's a Weequay pirate that goes to the yellow points. So that's right near the door. So I'm looking at the book here. So we're going to get the Weequay pirates out. We might do the experimental arms, haven't decided yet. So that they go right here. So it's not a surprise that there's more enemies once you open the door. That's pretty typical. And then a probe droid is going to a blue point, one of the blue points. So these are way off in the corner here. So where do we want that? We as the Imperial. I don't think it really matters. I think here is fine. It's going to have to move to attack anyway. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So yeah, that seems fine. Okay. And then the blue deployment points are active, and we're going to increase the threat by 2. So we don't get an optional deployment, but the threat does increase by 2. So it's at 5 because we banked the 3 from last turn. So we're ready for the next deployment. And let me get the probe droid out here. And so the experimental arms, let's go ahead and equip it to the Weequay pirates. They're probably going to die pretty soon anyway, but they should be able to get in at least 1 attack. So that was Onar opening the door, and then now for his second activity, it turns out he's just right next to Weequay Pirate, which is a good attack for him. So the Weequay Pirates have 4 health each, so he's going to need to do a good hit here with his bodyguard rifle, red and a green, and the pirate gets a black, so it's just 1 attack, no other benefits or anything. So here we go. Oh wow, what a roll. Okay, so that's only 1 block. That's about, I think that's the best that can possibly be. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 damage. minus the 1. So that's 4. That kills it. I don't know the odds, but don't tell me the odds. And it was Han Solo that says something like, "Don't tell me the odds." I don't know if that's a direct quote, but that is who said that. Okay, so now Onar can move forward by spending a spending a strain. It might be worth it. What's going to happen? He's probably going to hit and run. No, let's save the strain. So that's it for Onar. So now the Imperials get to go, and certainly they're going to want the Weequay pirate to go before he dies. So, and like I mentioned, I think hit and run is the best approach. Shoot and then just kind of run away, and then that way when Shyla goes, there won't be an easy attack avenue. So another option would be to just we don't want to get closer here, because these two then next turn would be able to hit him. So let's kind of stay away from the attacks and not let them get free attacks. So he's going to be shooting 2 green. He gets +1 accuracy. It's definitely going to hit. So because these green have numbers on them, and Onar doesn't get any defense dice, so too bad for Onar. So we've got 2 green dice. Oh, and they get to re-roll the Weequay pirate while attacking. They have an ability called Raider. While attacking, you may choose 1 die. The player that rolled that die must re-roll that die. So they're going to get a die re-roll potential. If they want it. I think they do want it. They can only use 1 surge. The second surge they just rolled doesn't mean anything, not to mention having a free surge here. So they're just going to re-roll this. That would be bad if they get just a surge, but it would be good if they got a double. There's more doubles than just a surge, I think. So yeah, we'll go for it. So re-roll this die, and same thing. So it's 2 damage plus 1 from the surge, so that's 3 damage on Onar. And experimental arms doesn't do anything, gives him more surges, but he's got more than enough he can use anyway. So now he's going to move. He's got 4 speed, so 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that looks good, because then she can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. She can probably get an attack on him, but at least she's he's not nearby there where they can attack. That's really what we want to avoid, is just getting their attack. So 1, 2, 3. I don't think it really matters if he goes here or here. Let's just have him go there. Okay, so that's the end of his turn. So now, and then also if she wants to go ahead and move forward and attack him, that will give the probe droid an attack on her, on Shyla. So he's saying, the Weequay pirate's saying, bring it on. So anyway, that's the end of his turn. So now it's Fen or Shyla. So because there's only 1 more Imperial figure left, we're going to have Fen go, and that way Shyla doesn't have to walk into the the difficult situation and get hit by the droid. So in other words, Fen's going to go, the droid has to go, it'll be his turn, and then Shyla can go, and the droid won't have anybody to hit, because 1, 2, 3 doesn't get them in any shooting range. So okay, so that's what we're going to do. So Fen is going to do pretty much nothing but movement. He's already wounded, so he doesn't mind going as far as he can. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Only has 3 speed because of the wound. And then 1, 2, 3. That still doesn't allow the droid to hit Fen. Not that he would care that much, because he's already wounded, but because you've got this red blocking terrain, or whatever you call that. It blocks line of sight.
A wall.
Yeah, it's kind of a wall, although because the probe droid is mobile, it kind of floats around, it can actually float over this and get past it in movement, but it can't get past walls.
Yes.
Yeah, so the walls is in black. So But in this case, it blocks line of sight, so that's good enough. So Finn has taken his turn. We get to, the trench fighter gets readied again, but he's not going to use it because there's nobody to hit. So then now it's the probe droid. So does the probe droid want to move over here and then get hit a bunch or stay back? Gee, what a tough decision, or not. Probe droid's just going to kind of move here. It has 6 movement points with the two actions, but it doesn't want to get in the lion's den over there. So actually, we don't even want to be in blast, range, because remember Finn has that blast that does extra damage. So let's just stay there. Next turn, they have to come this way. The Imperial player knows that the rebels have to come around the corner, so next turn he'll get a hit. That's all that counts, because this turn he knows he's not going to get a hit. Okay, so now Shyla gets to go, and she knows that there's not going to be any retaliation this turn because they've already taken their turn. So she has 5 movement, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And again, as a rebel player, we really need to pick these up, but we also really need to get the enemy out of there. Otherwise, they're going to clog things up. So again, I don't know the right strategies for this. I maybe in a couple turns I'll regret it and I'll say, oh shoot, we should have picked up some of the explosives already. But I just can't help myself. I need to attack. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and she's going to use a strain to move here. Boy, she's going to be wiped out next turn, but because I don't see any way around it. We need to keep going. So what I'm concerned with as a rebel player is that the Imperials have 5 threat points. Now they're going to have 8 by the end of this round.
So they're going to deploy a bunch of...
They're going to deploy a bunch of stuff. Now as a rebel player, I don't know where they're going to deploy it, but I assume it's not going to be, on the moon or somewhere. It's going to be, well, maybe this is a moon. I don't remember. But anyway, it's going to be somewhere there, and they're going to be able to attack. So they're going to just whoomp right on to Shyla, and she's going to be wounded. But I don't see a way around that because, we need to go forward. She can't just stay back and do nothing. So anyway, too much talk, not enough attacking, not enough attacking. So she's going to use a strain to move that extra point, and then she's going to attack the Weakway Pirate. So she's going to use the Duelist Blades ability. That really comes in handy. So now it's a red and a green, and it gets a black defense. He has 4 health. Oh, that's really good for the Weakway Pirate. So we've got 3 block and we've got 3 attack. We could use this surge to do 1 point, or she can get rid of a strain, either or. Let's do a point of damage. So he's got a point of damage on him, but that was a really bad roll because of his good block roll. And that's the end of her turn. So, and then for the last things in round 3, we're going to ready everybody. And we're going to advance the threat by 3. We're going to advance the round to round 4, so we're halfway done. And then the last thing in the round that has to be done is deployments with this 8th threat. So what can we deploy with that 8th threat? A lot. We can do some stormtroopers and an Imperial officer sounds good. That's 8. Jet troopers are good, but then I wouldn't be able to spend the full 8 unless I got 2 Imperial officers. I don't want to do that. Yeah, let's do that. Let's stormtrooper group and an Imperial officer. So again, double checking where they're allowed to deploy. So they could deploy back here or here. We're going to go ahead and just take these here. So where do they want to go? I don't think we want to be here because then he can blast 1, 2, 3. You kind of get a blast. It won't really matter. They'll be able to move up and attack anyway. So Yeah, let's have them go back here. 1, 2, 3. He can actually go there and then blast them. So let's do 2 and 2. Here, and then the Imperial officer is, let's just put him right here. So now we've got 3 for the blast, 2 for the blast. You know, we'll do what we can. It's just a 1-point blast. It's not a huge deal, but okay. So I have the cards here. We've already deployed the experimental arms, and the threat dial goes back down to 0. And that is the end of round 3. For round 4, I think we're going to go a little less cautious than usual. One way to lose this scenario is for all heroes to be wounded, for the rebels to lose this. And so normally what I would do is try to be careful about the one that's at the most damage and everything. But we're halfway through. We haven't gotten a single one of these items, and so we need to rush through. So she is going to be attacking this one, and with the knowledge that she's probably gonna get wounded this turn by the stormtroopers. But okay, so she's going to, but we again want to thin the field as much as we can before we're picking up these things. So she's attacking with the duelist blade, which is a green and a red, and it gets a black die on defense. She needs to do 3 damage. So that's going to be enough. So we've got 3 on the red die is a big deal. So 2 blocking, 4 damage, plus the 1 surge. The surge is going to be used for an additional damage. So that's 5 minus 2 is 3, plus the 1 from before. That's enough to kill it. Okay, so that was good. So the weak weight pirate goes away. And what else is she going to do? She's going to strain 1 here to get here. Then she's going to use her Mandalorian whip, which says choose a hostile figure within 3 spaces in line of sight. Push that figure up to 3 spaces to a space adjacent to you. Then perform an attack with a melee weapon. So she's actually going to take a strain for that Mandalorian whip. And then 1, 2, 3, she's going to push it here. I think that's where we want it. Yeah, that's to a space near her, or adjacent to her. And then she's going to get an attack on it. It's not too likely that she'll kill it, but she can try. Okay, so that's a yellow and a green. She can't use the duelist blade this second time, or with the Mandalorian whip anyway. That's a that's a really good roll. That's about as good as it can be. So that's notice that he's not next to any of his allies.
Good.
So he doesn't get to re-roll the white die. That's why she did that. So that's
She whipped him.
yeah, she whipped him. So 1, 2 plus 1 of the surges is going to be an extra point. So that's 3 damage. He has no blocking. 3 damage is all he takes. So get him out of there. So that was quite a turn. That was worth it, I hope. Not picking up any of these things. And she has extra surges left over. She's going to use 1 of them to get rid of a strain. So that couldn't have gone better. And last thing is she can use another strain to move, but she doesn't want to do that. So that is the end of her turn. So now the stormtroopers get to go. Double check, do I want the stormtroopers to go, or do I want the droid to go? Definitely stormtroopers. They can try to knock her out. So how can we manage this to get that reroll benefit when they're next to each other? I purposefully separated them so the blast wouldn't affect, but that didn't end up mattering. So if he goes 1, 2, 3, 4, he won't get the benefit. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, about right here. These explosives that are being picked up, these tokens, don't block line of sight or anything, or movement or anything like that. So if he goes 1, 2, 3, 4, he can shoot within 3, which is his optimal firing range, and he gets the reroll benefit. So let's do that. Because I'd rather not have the stormtroopers end up over here, because then they can get easier attacks. I'd rather they be kind of a distance. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then shooting, and that's line of sight, no problem. So it's a green and a blue with the reroll chance. Black defense. That's only 1 defense. It's going to reroll this blue die. Same difference. So 1, 2 plus a surge is 3, minus 1 is 2 damage. So she's up to 8 out of 12. So that's the end of his turn. He's already moved. So now this one, we're not going to want to end up clumped together because of the blast. 1, let's just go 1 right there and then shoot. Gets the reroll benefit if he needs it, if he wants it. He definitely wants it. So we're going to reroll this one, which is just 1 damage. So, oh, but that's worse. Okay, that was terrible. So it's 1 damage plus a surge, so that's a 2nd damage, against 2 blocks, so no damage. She didn't take any damage. So this has 3 more movement points left. Let's end up... I don't really want them to be next to each other, but we're going to have to be a little next to each other. So he's going to end up right there. Then this one goes, he's going to move 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe he'll end up there. That might be too far out of the thing. So anyway, he's going to move up 1, and then he'll decide after the... So she's not going to get wounded this turn, or this round. No, this turn, I should say. Okay, and there we go. So she's got a 3, she rolled a 3 block, and they rolled 4 damage. So that's only 1 damage. They're not going to re-roll because that's the best they can roll. So just 1 damage. So she's at 9 out of 12. She was very lucky. So where does he want to end up? Let's end up right here. So, okay, so the stormtrooper they're done. So now we would like to kill the probe droid, or should we just start picking up stuff? Probably picking up stuff, because the probe droid takes 5 to die, and it won't die this turn because we have to do a move and then an attack, and you're not going to do 5 damage on just 1 attack, probably. So how can we just move? Let me double check the mission rules. So you spend 2 movement points when you're adjacent to an explosive, and then that picks it up. After you do that, you can test perception to gain 1 movement point back. So you don't use an interact action, you use some movement points. So let's figure Diala. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then she'd have to use some strain to try to get that. I don't know that there's a better option, because 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, he can use 1 strain and pick that up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Yeah, I think that's the best. So we're not going to attack that. Gosh, I hate that. That goes against my nature, not attacking an enemy. 1, 2, 3, shoot. And he gets the trench fighter bonus. I can't resist it. so he doesn't move very much anyway. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, even if he were to pick that up, let's go after it, because I want to use the trench fighter. Hate to have an ability we don't use. So he's going 1, 2, 3, and that's his movement. So then he's going to declare an attack targeting a figure within 3 spaces, and he's going to apply 2 damage to the attack. with the hand cannon, he's going to have to subtract 1 from the damage to get the accuracy he needs. So it's a couple different abilities there. So it's 2 red and then 1 black. Any other option? Another option would be to use a strain to move here, but then he wouldn't be able to use his havoc shot to do the blast. So that's not going to work. Okay, so that's not an option. Okay, shooting. Oh, that's not a good roll. So the only 1 block, so that's good for the rebels, but it's 1, 2, 3, 2 more for the trench fighter, so that's 5, but -1 for the hand cannon, so that's 4, -1, so that's 3 damage on the droid. So that was that. Okay, and is he going to move? He's not going to move any further. Use strain, so that's the end of his turn. So now the droid's going to go and definitely going to try to hit Shyla. So to be in absolute 100% range with the ranged weapon, they have to move 1 closer. So where do we want them to end up? 1, let's just start by moving there. And shooting now, the probe droid gets a blue, a yellow, and a yellow. So that's a lot of dice. But no red or green, so it's not as bad as it seems, hopefully. Oh, no, not Fen. Attacking Shyla, thank you, yeah. So, black die. Oh, that's good for Shyla. So that's 2 block, 2 damage. So we've got 2 surges. For 1 surge, they're going to, they have a choice. They're going to go ahead and use both surges for damage. So 1 for damage and 1 for pierce. So it's kind of the same difference. So that's really 3 damage minus only 1 block because of the pierce. So that's 2 damage. So instead of 9, she's at 11. So just very close. And we pretty much know that the rebels aren't going to be resting. So they don't have time to just rest. So it would be nice, but they're not going to do that. So where does he want to end up? Let's end up around the corner here, I guess. I don't think it matters too much because he's just going to go in next turn. Yep, and that's it for the probe droid. Okay, so we did Shyla's turn, we did Fen, so now Diala and Onar. So let's just pick up some things. I don't think we can even get an attack here if we wanted to. 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, he could get an attack on this, but it wouldn't be an optimal attack. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to get an optimal attack. Very tempted to kill that, whatchamacallit. Let's do it. So we're going to go, Onar's going to go use 2 strain. So now he's up to 3 out of the 4 endurance. So that's 2 movement points, and then the 4 regular movement points. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And what that does, it gets him in optimum. He could be further back and shoot, but he wants to be right next to it to get the benefit of the bodyguard rifle's full effect. So that is a black die blocking and red and green for attacking. And that's
Now he's in position to pick up those things next turn.
Exactly, yeah. So that's
that was your plan.
That was part of the plan, absolutely. Well, it was the other option would have been just to move and pick it up.
Yeah.
So let's let's at least get some hits in here while we're moving. That's good. That does enough. So that's barely. So 1, 2, 3, 4 damage. He can't use the surge for any attacking things. So 4 versus 2. So that kills it because it had 3 on it before. It needs 5 to die. So that was important. Okay, now he does have a surge, and he's going to use that surge to get rid of a strain. So that was beneficial there. See, the rebels are getting good dice here, but I'm skeptical about whether they can win the scenario. So he already used the 2 strain for movement, so he can't do any more of that. He used a move, he used an attack, so that was the end of his turn. So now Diala gets to go, and all she can do is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So question, does she want to move Or you know what? She can go further in. So 3. She has one more movement point left. Let's use that movement point here, and then use a strain to go here. We can pick that one up on the way out when we're going back. So she's going to strain 1 to move there. And by the way, she can attack both of those next turn. See, I like attacking. Okay, so that is the end of her turn. So for the last thing there are a couple more things in round 4 we do. Boy, how are we going to pick up these things, go back in just 2 rounds? I'm going to triple check the campaign rules at the end of round 6. Yeah. So no more attacking, I think. That seems okay. That's the way it is. So anyway, we ready everything at the end of the round. Or not everything, but all the tokens and these enemies. We go for 3 threat, and we get a deployment, but also something's going to happen at the end of round 4, as the Imperial player is aware. Another Stormtrooper group shows up, this time at the entrance, and this is an elite Stormtrooper group. So let's get that group here. Let's give them experimental arms, because why not? So let me get 3 more Stormtroopers. So one of them has to show up right on the entrance. The other 2 just here and here are fine, or actually here, I think, makes it a shorter distance a little bit. And so we do have 3 threat we can use. Do we want to do that to make another probe droid? Yeah, why not? Yeah, let's get another probe droid. So use our 3 threat. And it's going to go here, I think is best. And the threat dial down to 0, so yep, that's the end of round 4. For round 5, I think I've been doing some counting, and I don't think it's possible under any circumstances for the rebels to win. But we're going to try round 5. If round 5, it's become evident, like I'm pretty sure it will, that we can't win by the end of round 6, then we're just going to try to pick up some crates and salvage the best we can. We're doing a job for Jabba the Hutt. It's not really our cup of tea there. So anyway, so Onar's going to go first. Onar's going to spend 2 movement points to pick this up. And so he picks that up. He use a move for his turn. So then he gets to roll a perception to gain a movement point once he does that. So he's going to roll green and yellow for perception. No, so he does not get a surge on that, so he does not gain a movement point. So he's used 2 movement points, then 3, 4. So that was his first action. Second action, he's going to pick this up, or he's going to use another move, and then 2 of those points he's going to use to pick this up. See if he gets another movement point. The perception check, yes, so he does get a surge, so he does have another movement point. So he's used 2, gets another one, the other one is going to get him here. So now he has 2 more movement points on his regular move, and with those 2 movement points, he's going to pick this up. So look, we've got 3 easy QED or something like that.
But does he have to make it out for those to count?
Yeah, that's the thing. So after the rebels have gathered 6 of these, they have to end, by the end of round 6, they have to be back on this tile. All of them, no matter whether they have an explosive or not.
Oh, okay.
That's the extraction zone. So he's got, let's see, does that even give him 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then he can strain. So let's just see if he gets that movement point. From the perception he does. So he gets a movement point, and he'll move right there, I think is fine. No, let's move there. Okay, so he didn't even have to strain to move. maybe he should, because next turn is his last turn, and you can only, oh, no, he still has 2, okay, so he doesn't need to. He's down to 2 strain remaining out of his 4 endurance, so next turn he'll use his 2 strain to move, just because what else are you going to do with it? So he wants to attack, but no attacking. Okay, so that's it for Onar. So now the Imperials get to go. Well, they certainly want to wound Shyla, so let's do that. They want the reroll, but they can't get the reroll on this turn, on this first activation, because in order to get line of sight, they're going to have to be one of these 2 places. So who's going to go? He's going to go, oh, we want to set it up for them to get, yeah, 1, 2. He's going to shoot. Is that right? 1, 2, yeah. So shooting Shyla is a blue and a green, and Shyla gets a black on defense. No reroll. No reroll needed. So that's a 4 versus a 0, so she's wounded. She only needed 1 more point. So now she's slower, which is going to affect further. So let's get her wounded. So that was this one. He still has 2 movement points left. Let's have him go back here so we can get the benefit of the being adjacent. So then let's go ahead and have him shoot Diala. So that's green and blue. Diala gets a white on defense. She got the X, so no damage. So he hasn't moved, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Right there. Nice blockage. Oh, that's going to totally block them. Yeah, this is a lost scenario. There's no question. So now this one's going to go 1, 2, 3. And shoot Diala with the reroll. So no reroll needed here, but 1, 2, 3 minus 1, so that's 2 damage on Diala. And they don't have the experimental arms. So that's the end of these stormtroopers' turn. Notice for the elites, I like to have them pointing that direction. That way it identifies the elite stormtroopers versus the other stormtroopers. Okay, well now they're going to have to, they can't interact with this door because it's locked. You have to be adjacent to the door. So they would have to kill one of these stormtroopers to get to the door to be able to do it. I mean, even without any enemies on the board, I don't think they can mathematically do it. I didn't plan this right as the rebels, which is kind of typical because I want to fight. But anyway, so as the rebels, I'm going to give up. There's just no way that it can win, but we're going to pick up some crates, so that should be pretty easy to do. So this crate is a slam dunk. Anybody can get that. So this crate might be blocked by them, so let's go get this crate first. We're not even going to get that crate, so behind the door. So who can get that crate? Let's see, Shyla has only movement of 4 now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. So she can't quite make it there and interact this turn, but she can do it next turn. So why don't we just have Diala go back? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. You know what? Let's not go back until they've taken their turn. So let's do it a little differently. So 1, 2, 3, 1, and then pick that up. So that's what he's going to do. 1, 2, 3, strain 1, his last strain, and he's going to pick up this crate. So I already shuffled these supply cards, so it's a shock grenade, doesn't matter. So then that's the end of his turn, because that was an interact that counts there. So now the probe droid is going to So their goal is to try to wound these before you can pick up the crates. Let's go after Onar. 1, 2, 3. Shooting Onar. Yellow, yellow, blue. Onar gets no defense. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 damage. And that's it. So 5 damage on Onar. See, those droids can really hit hard if depends on the dice roll. They get a lot of dice. Okay, they already did their movement. So the last crate is back here. We don't want to move there yet. I want to let them, but they're going to try to block it. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, 3. So that's good. So that's it for Diala. So Shyla hasn't gone, but these. So these guys are going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. That gets within a range, so they're going to shoot. They don't get the benefit of the adjacent. But, so what? Okay. So that's 1, 2. This surge is 2 damage for these elite guys. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 minus 1 is 3 damage for Diala. And okay, you know what? I think as the Imperial player, I'm going to stipulate to the Rebel player, negotiate here, that I'm going to stipulate that you can go ahead and take that, because there's no way I can stop you. I mean, if they do some damage, they're not going to, they might wound her, but they won't just totally destroy her. And, you know, as long as Onar is unwounded, then, I mean, next turn she can just start the turn by picking up the crate. So they're going to stipulate that the crate is picked up as long as they give up the scenario. And so they agree. So that's pretty much what's going to happen anyway.
Oh.
Yeah, so they give up. Don't tell Jabba they gave up. So for the last
What was in
part,
that crate?
oh yeah, good idea, because actually you can get some credits for the crate. And by the way, I haven't mentioned this before. For the supply deck, I removed the card troop data, because troop data talks about revealing to the Rebel players what's in the Imperial player's hand. Well, reveal. I mean, I know what's in their hand. So I simply removed that card altogether from the deck. Okay, it's adrenal stim, so it doesn't do anything. It's worthless for this scenario. So, okay, so that's the end of the scenario, and we'll just kind of have to tell Jabba, no, sorry. So what happens is the Imperial player receives an extra experience point. That's super important. If the heroes have claimed 6 explosives, then they get more credits, but they don't. So each player then receives 1 experience point, and the heroes receive 100 credits per hero, and the Imperial player receives 1 influence. So then we'll have a choice of story missions, and we can cover that in a future video. So that's it. So hey, you win some, you lose some. The Rebels won the first 2, and now the Imperials win. So we'll see what we go from here. And thank you for watching.